Welcome to this week's episode of Biz Success in 15, where top experts share hot tips and strategies that you can implement in as little as 15 minutes to build your dream business. And now here's your host, the Visibility Wiz, Cindy J.
Hi, I'm Cindy J, the Visibility Wiz, and welcome to this episode of Biz Success in 15, where top experts share hot tips and strategies that you can implement in 15 minutes or less. Today, our guest is Milana Leshinsky. She's the founder of Simplicity Circle and is creating a simplicity revolution for coaches, authors, speakers, and entrepreneurs who want to grow their businesses with ease. She is the creator of Recurring Revenue Revolution, author of Coaching Millions, co-founder of JV Insider Circle, and an inventor of Telesummit. Milana is known as a serial entrepreneur and paradigm shifter by many luminaries. She came from Soviet Ukraine 25 years ago as a classical musician with zero knowledge of the business world, and has built multiple 6- and 7-figure businesses. Today, she's passionate about showing entrepreneurs how to use simplicity as a growth strategy. Her motto is, goodbye complexity and overwhelm, and hello simplicity, profits, and ease. Welcome, Milana. It's a pleasure to have you.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Cindy. I'm excited to talk to your guest and to you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really interested to learn all about simplicity. So to begin with, I do like to ask all my guests if you could please describe a personal or business challenge that you had to overcome in order to achieve your level of success.
I think I had to really learn a lot of new skills. You know, as you said, coming from Soviet Ukraine as a classical musician, I had zero business skills. I didn't even use the word business or entrepreneurship until I came to America, and 10 years after that. So to me, everything was so new. And I think where the link happened for me was the creativity piece, because there's creativity in music, there's creativity in business. And I think that's what kind of served as the bridge between these two completely different worlds. And so I had to learn a lot of new skills. I really immersed myself in learning about marketing, copywriting, product development. And then as time, as the time that I started my business was 2000, that's when the internet started dominating and taking over the world
Right.
of masses. And so I became a web developer who could not only use a computer, but also program and develop websites and create different software. So I completely requalified, redesigned myself as a professional, from musician to technician is what I say, right?
That's wonderful, yes.
That is really the biggest transformation, I would say, that I had to go through. Between countries, between professions, between mindsets of being a classically trained music teacher 9 to 5 to the entrepreneur, free spirit, work whenever you want to, and even when you don't want to.
Yes, I like that. Work whenever you don't want to. And that is a huge mindset shift. How long was you in the United States before you started on your entrepreneurship / business?
Yeah, so I would say it was 16 years into
Okay.
my life here. That I actually, I had 2 children, and when my daughter was born and she was 1 year old, I decided that I want to be a mom. I want to go to work. I was looking at all these ladies around me who were homeschooling their kids, and I was so jealous. I just wanted to stay home and, pull out my blanket on the grass in the backyard and just play with my kids like
Right.
they did. And I had to quit my job, and it took me actually another year to make that decision. So I quit my job in 2002. And
Okay. Great. That's wonderful. That's the main reason I know so many entrepreneurs do get into this type of business, is because they want the freedom to be with their family whenever they want.
Yeah.
And what do you see as being one of the biggest problems right now in the coach, author, speaker, and the entrepreneur space?
Yeah. Well, I think that the biggest challenge right now in our industry, and I would say because of the invention of the internet and social media, and we become aware of everything and what everybody else does, I would say there is an unprecedented overwhelm right now in the world of business, of information marketing. You know, I walked away from a company, as you may know, last
Yes.
year, and I started thinking, what business could I start? And I almost fell off my chair when I started looking for different ideas. No matter what idea I would come up with, there would be already hundreds of people doing that.
Right.
No matter what topic I wanted to explore and teach and go deeper in, there were already thousands of solutions and people giving advice. And so it was not, you know, I was telling my, you know, you're not in Kansas anymore, Dorothy. This is not
Right.
2001 anymore. It's 17 years later, and every seemingly good idea is already taken. And so that overwhelm has really hit me. And I was thinking, I have years of experience. What do people who are just starting their businesses feel and experience with all that overwhelming, many times conflicting information and advice? So I had to look
Right.
deeper and actually strip away all that overwhelm before I could let my idea shine.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, I recently as well changed niches. And so I understand that, because even though you're very comfortable where you're at, but moving forward, and I love that you went back to, what does a new entrepreneur feel like?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it's,
I was a newbie with 16 years of experience
right.
suddenly, right? Everything
Totally
that was
understand that.
everything that could be invented has already been invented, which is of course not true. We know
But
it's
there's
complete.
only one Milana.
Yeah, yeah. So I kind of had to bring myself back home,
Uh-huh.
emotionally and mentally and creatively to find that
Right.
next big idea. Yeah.
And I know your big idea was the simplicity circle. So what is simplicity to you, and why do you believe it's the best growth strategy for business owners?
Yeah, you know, the idea of simplicity came to me when I was sitting at a very busy, very complex marketing event, and I was looking around the room as one of the speakers was presenting and teaching, and I just felt like, oh my God, this is so complex. Nobody in the room is going to ever implement more than 1% of it. It's just complexity, so much complexity. So the word simplicity came to me, and I came home and I started exploring this idea. And turns out that the idea of simplicity entrepreneurship was not new.
Mm-hmm.
It was just not as you know, there was not as much attention given to it as I have been doing in the last 12 months. And, you know, simplicity entrepreneurship is this amazing movement and idea that says that you can grow and scale your business and make, can I swear on your show?
Yeah, you can.
You can make a shitload of money and still keep your business simple.
Mm-hmm.
Still, you know, not lose your peace of mind, you know, not at the cost of your independence, your sleep, your relationships, your health. You know, last year, as I walked away from my business, we had almost 17 people, I think, at some point in our team. We were launching and launching and launching. We were running program after program, doing live event after live event. There was no room to breathe. So when I walked away from the company last year, I sold my half to my business partner, and I became free. That's the best way for me to describe myself at that moment. But I really felt like, wow, I feel like I just jumped off a fast moving train.
Mm-hmm.
There's no business, no deadlines, no projects, no
Right.
people, no deadlines. Did I say no deadlines?
You said no deadlines. Yes.
Right? Like it was suddenly I was an entrepreneur without a business, but it felt amazing because I realized, looking back, how busy my life has become, how little space there was for me to be, just to enjoy life, right?
Mhm.
So sometimes that happens. And so simplicity entrepreneurship is actually allowing you, it's a mindset, it's a philosophy, but it's also a strategy. And I had to do a lot of exploration. I interviewed a lot of people who were already running a simplicity-based business. I surveyed a lot of people. I looked at people who were talking about this kind of simplicity business models. And what I learned is that other than just having a mindset of simplicity and making all of your decisions with simplicity in mind, like, well,
Mhm.
instead of hiring 17 people, why not just automate certain processes?
Right.
Instead of creating this massive launch, why not do something that is an evergreen launch? Like, all the
Mhm.
decisions come from a place of simplification and simplicity. But most importantly, what I discovered for myself is that simplicity comes from alignment. Because there is an unprecedented overwhelm of strategies and ways to grow your business and platforms for you to talk on. You kind of need a way to discern all of that, like
Yeah.
which way is right for you. And so that's where alignment became my tool and my definition of simplicity entrepreneurship.
That's one thing that is always so interesting to me is whether it's a brick and mortar business or an online business, people typically go on business with this idea of freedom, and then they get tied to the business and they have less freedom than what they had before.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is the moment when you realize that your business is actually a job.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to go back to the way my life was before this busy, hectic, chaotic business lifestyle. I was traveling way too much. I was on the phone all the time. Neither one of those are my favorite things to do. And so I had to go back. Like, I remember one of my clients came to my retreat and she asked me to look inside my calendar. And I opened my calendar, like a day planner, back when we were still using the paper calendar. And she said, she started like flipping pages and like, where are all your appointments? Where are all your meetings? How do you make money? I'll never forget that, because a lot of people associate doing and meeting with people and being on the phone and
Mm-hmm.
going places with making money. For me, I was really focused on a lot of creation, passive income, leveraging, and then hibernating. And
And
so I
that's where
did.
all the simplicity comes in.
And I knew when I came up with the idea of Simplicity Circle, I thought I've always appreciated having that lifestyle of
Mm-hmm.
a simplicity entrepreneur. But in the last 3 years, because it was a partnership, I
Mm-hmm.
started leaning into more of a different style of running a business. We had a big team suddenly. I had a lot of partners to work with. So I started moving away from what really worked for me.
Mm-hmm. What warmed your heart and your passions? And you started your business because you wanted to go play on the grass with your daughter.
I
And
know, right?
even though they're older, it still like took a lot of time. Yeah, I know my mom used to always say that it's very interesting. People always say that you should stay at home whenever your babies are little, and she said, really, the time they need you is whenever they're teenagers. And so I
Yes.
I know your children were teenagers whenever you was running this other business.
Yeah, they were teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter, I'm almost an empty nester. My son is now actually, he had graduated from college last year,
Mm-hmm.
so he is out of the house, has been out of the house for years. And my daughter is going to college next year. So, yeah, for
Right.
sure. In the last few years, I actually was always worried about leaving my house because I would come back and there would be some kind of crisis with homework, with
Right.
teachers, with friends.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I wanted to be here. So you're right. I never thought about it that way. Yeah. When they're babies, you want to be there for them. But
Mm-hmm.
when they're grown ups, they don't know it, but they need you here too.
Right. Right. They need that guidance in that direction, even though they think they know
Yeah.
everything.
Mhm.
That is so good. So, how can people stop the confusion and start growing their own business with simplicity and ease?
Yeah, I would say that the biggest first step to take is really to ask yourself, where do you find yourself pushing right now in your business? And when I say pushing, I mean where you putting a lot of effort in, but the results don't match the effort you're putting in. Last year, right before I walked away from the other company, what was happening is I doubled my work hours. I don't remember ever working that much in my life, constantly working. That was the last 6 months of my presence in that company.
Hmm.
And what I found is that it didn't matter. It didn't make any difference. I was still making the same amount of money, the same impact, the same number of clients, just basically the same outcome as I had 3 years ago, but with a lot less effort. And so, where are you pushing? So now, whenever I'm saying yes to a strategy or project or methodology in my business, I make sure that it is very closely aligned to my super skills. I call it my super skills because that's where results come with ease, and it lives right on top of your natural abilities, your natural tendencies, right? So that's what I do with clients right now is like a lot of people will say, yes, I know what my natural abilities are, but they have no idea how to translate that into a profitable business. So that's what I do in Simplicity Circle with my clients is like we figure out, okay, yes, you're a writer, but what does that mean? Does that mean you need to blog all day long and that's how you're
Right.
going to be growing your business? Not necessarily. It's part of it, but it's only a small part of it because every person on top of super skills also has this core driver that motivates them, that drives them. And if you don't know what that is, you're going to take on some things to do and some strategies that are going to feel like pushing, like plowing through. How long do you want to plow through? Like I plowed through my computer information systems bachelor's degree when I had to learn how to do computer programming. I plowed through. I asked for help. I would stay late just to get it done. But I don't want to plow through. I'm in my early 40s at this point. I
Right.
think I'm ready. I'm ready to be done and
Uh-huh.
enjoy life a little bit more and leverage all those years of hard work. And the best way to do that is to constantly be aware of what feels like pushing. And can you stop doing that and do something that doesn't feel like pushing? Because that's, that other look in the direction of natural abilities, your super skills, things that come with ease. That's what's going to help you build a sustainable business.
I love that. Absolutely love that. And going into that, you're talking about strategies. Can you share a business strategy that our listeners can implement in as little as 15 minutes or less?
I would say, so my favorite strategy has to do with leveraging yourself, leveraging your expertise. You probably know a lot of things about your topic. And if you've been serving clients um, and you work with clients one-on-one or even in a workshop environment or in a group environment, chances are that you have certain nuggets of wisdom that you want to capture and leverage. And so I actually have known about this strategy for years. My coach used to tell me, just sit down and write down what you know about some topic every single day. And so definitely capturing your knowledge in some form that can be transferred to clients, to your team, as a product. Capture, because that's how you create leverage. A lot of times people will, like coaches will work with clients
Mm-hmm.
and they give nuggets of wisdom and it's gone. Yes, you transform somebody's life once, but why don't you capture your magic in a form of either an audio recording or a quick video or an article? Like, I'm not a writer, so I don't like to write,
Mm-hmm.
but I capture my information like this through interviews, through a Q&A format. So answer one question every day for 10 minutes in whatever format you want. Not only does it allow you to get yourself out there more, build more visibility, because you can do that on YouTube or on social media, on Facebook, on your blog, whatever method you're choosing. But you're also getting to capture your wisdom that you can then turn into all kinds of formats. Like one of the things I'm doing right now is I'm creating Simplicity Business Academy. What it's going to be is all my experience, all my knowledge for over the last 17 years captured in training courses, how to
Right.
build a business, how to market yourself, how to price your products and services, like all those things that people ask me about anyway is going in the Simplicity Business Academy. That's my next year project, but that's an example of 15 minutes a day, capture your wisdom.
Right. And it doesn't take long to build up. I mean, if you just do it Monday through Friday and take 2 weeks off over the year, you have 250 pieces of information of those golden nuggets.
Golden nuggets. Yeah, absolutely. Because, if you don't like to write, just pose a question for yourself. Whatever your topic is,
Right.
you could answer one question a day in some type of a content format, video, audio, or writing, and it'll do wonders for you over time.
I love that. I love that. I've never heard it described that way, but that's a great strategy. So thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
And I know that you have a fabulous gift for our listeners in our community. So can you share a little bit about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I was exploring this whole idea of simplicity entrepreneurship, I wrote a little book. It's called The Simplicity Principle, and it comes with a simplicity scale assessment, which tells you how much complexity you currently have in your business and what to do about it, right? Because I was not aware that I was trapped in complexity until I left my company. Only then did I start realizing, oh, that's why I was feeling some depression. I think I actually went through depression, but I didn't realize it until later. That's why I started having panic attacks. Panic attacks for a year and a half of running my other business. And when people would ask me, are you feeling overwhelmed? I would say, no, I'm fine. But I wasn't living my simplicity entrepreneurship lifestyle.
Right.
And so where you are right now, you may not know, but it's always great to kind of step back and give yourself a gift of assessing where you are with your business. If the results are coming through pushing and forcing, chances are you are not running a simplicity-based business, and chances are you will probably be stuck at whatever income level you're at right now, because nobody has ever grown a business to its highest potential using strategies that don't feel natural to them, that don't ride on their natural abilities.
Their natural superpowers.
Exactly. Maybe they did, but maybe they ended up with a
Right.
heart attack at the end of it. I don't know.
And I always think of like Scrooge, Scrooge had this huge business, but he was unhappy because all he was interested in is money. But today, most of us, we start our businesses because we love people and want to help people, but then we make it so difficult that it ruins our health, such as your anxiety and stuff, without even realizing it.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't even aware of such a thing as a panic attack. When it started, I used to call them episodes. I didn't know what to describe them as.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, you may not have panic attacks, but you might have, loss of sleep, loss of motivation. I felt very uninspired in the last few months of my business. I just, wake up and work and think, is this all there is? It doesn't feel exciting to me anymore. So,
yeah. Something that I experienced was digestive issues, probably right around, I think it was right after you was going through your thing, but because I wasn't living my natural abilities, I started having a lot of digestive issues. So it's going to attack your body somehow, some way.
Exactly. Even if your mind hasn't caught up with it yet, your body is going to let you know that something is off and you want to listen. And maybe some people are fine. They're doing fine, but maybe they just don't feel inspired and they are stuck. They're not growing their business. So the idea of simplicity entrepreneurship is really going to help you open that up, open that thinking. I run a Simplicity Circle Facebook group. I have run a website site, Simplicity Circle. So I don't know if you want to give the link, Cindy.
Yeah,
But
and I was definitely going to do that. I wanted to add to so much about the simplicity and running a business that's not congruent with who you are. Besides everything else, to me, one of the biggest things is if you're waking up thinking, I don't want to do this, to explore what are you doing that is going against your grain. Because that's got to be a big sign that it's not simple. I could talk to you all day about simplicity. I love this subject. So to get Milana's gifts, you want to visit bizsuccessin15.com, and you'll also be able to download her gifts, any links that we mentioned on today's show. You'll be able to re-listen to Milana's golden nuggets that she shared with us today, and especially her awesome 15-minute strategy. I recommend everybody to start doing that. So Milana, do you have any parting words for our listeners?
Yeah, I will end with this tip for you. There is no guru. You are the guru. And what I mean by that is that a lot of people will tell you what to do, specifically when it comes to building your business. And many times you'll get conflicting advice, confusing advice, and you'll get overwhelming advice. Just too much, right? Too much input. And what do I do? And who do I listen to? And so nobody really knows the right way to do a business. You are the only one who knows how to grow your business the right way for you. And the best way to start thinking about that is, what do you feel drawn to? I started doing teleseminars before I knew what a teleseminar was, because I loved the idea of teaching. Right. And I could do that from home. And I did it and I loved it. And I started learning more about that strategy. And then it became webinars with slides, and I learned that. So continued to build. And so I went from one person on my webinar to 2,000 people on my webinars, making hundreds of thousands of dollars from a single webinar. So I knew that was built on my natural abilities,
right,
to teach and present information. So I felt drawn to that. So you are the only person who can say what is the right strategy for you. I'm not saying ignore or don't listen to experts and mentors out there. Just have a filter. I call it a simplicity filter that allows you to make a decision. Is this the right strategy for you? And of course, in my Simplicity Circle programs, I give people tools and assessments to figure out not only what your natural abilities and super skills are, but how to then translate them into a profitable business based on whether you are a teacher, builder, connector, champion. I go through this whole thing with people to create their discernment strategy.
Right. I love that. I always tell people, I can never be you. So if I followed every strategy that you did, exactly. I would fail. But what I do is I learn tidbits from you, and then I learn tidbits from other mentors and create my own strategies. My very first coach, I learned a lot of what not to do from her. She's no longer coaching, but she used to always tell me, she used to really get angry at me. You have to do exactly what I tell you to do, exactly the way I tell you to do it, or else you're never going to succeid. And here it is 8 years later, and who's still coaching and who's not. But but it was just very interesting to me, because I thought, this doesn't align with who I am. And I think anybody that says that, it's time to really check back. Is this the right mentor for you?
Yes.
We cannot be like somebody else.
I love that. There are quite a few coaches who will say that to you. You have to follow my advice if you want to be successful. My coach told me that you need to start traveling around the country to every coaching meeting, coaching, networking, group coaching associations, and start speaking and talking about your book. And I had 2 kids in my home waiting for me. So traveling was so outside of my comfort zone at that time. And so I fired him.
Right. It's been so much fun interviewing you. And thank you very, very much for being my guest today, Milana. And
thank you, Cindy.
To our listeners, if you enjoyed today's show, feel free to share it with your friends. And remember to hop on over to Biz Success in 15 so you can download the fabulous gifts from Milana so you can start creating your own simplicity business created on who you are and using your own natural gifts. You can also re-listen to today's show and catch up on other episodes with other top experts. So with that, I do want to say big hugs and be sure to tune in to Biz Success in 15 next week for another fantastic episode. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to Biz Success in 15. For all links mentioned in today's show and to watch or listen to previous episodes, visit bizsuccessin15.com. Thanks so much for listening, and be sure to tune in next week for another amazing guest.